Hi everyone, welcome back again to another one. So today's Thursday. What do we got on the plate today? We got not much. Bitcoin was down a little bit, miners were down a little bit as well. It wasn't as bad as it was yesterday. So that was a good sign there. We'll take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin miners as well today. We'll also take a look at, what are we going to look at? Institutions, last 12 months, kind of charts on Bitcoin mining, hash rate growth, things like that as well. We'll also take a look at HUD 8. They provided their Q3 revenue as well, so we'll look at that. There's actually some good news there for them, so I was happy to see that. And then we'll get into Q&A. Should be pretty easy, as always, right? Also, if you guys could hold off on your questions until we get into the Q&A side of things, and also if you preface the question with a Q or a question before it, so I know it's a question and not a comment between each and every one of you guys there, that I would greatly appreciate it, but you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. I'm investing I'm full of companies. I'm investing in wow, I can't speak tonight. Full disclosure down below. If you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. All right, let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down a little bit here today. It wasn't down too bad, right? We're down 3.51% on the day. Miners were pretty close to that, but they're down day. The only one that was up today was Bitdeer. So we're not looking too bad. We're up a little bit here on the new day, about 1%. We're at 88,240 roughly right now, so it's not too bad. We are obviously down from where we were at 93,485. But if you look at it here, just as a side note here, from the bottom where we were just a week ago or so to the top, we were up like 38%, 40% roughly. Those are some huge gains in like a week. So that was definitely a fun ride for us. And now we're down from the top to the bottom here, approximately 7.26%. Not too bad, right? Historically, we've seen bigger declines in Bitcoin corrections where we grow up too fast. We have to come down a little bit just to have a breather. And I think it's healthy for the market in general. But we're down 7%. We could come down a little bit more, I think. Another couple, 3% or so, and continue on. Or we can continue on from here. Nobody really knows what's going to happen here on that one. But long term, we're still looking really good, I think, for this cycle. I still think we're going to get to like 180,000 past, maybe even past that as well. We could go even higher than this if we get a lot of things happening. Nation states buying Bitcoin. We get Congress to approve Bitcoin being used as a, what's that word I'm looking for? Strategic reserve there. We got maybe states buying it as well, pension funds, all this stuff happening here. So I think we're still going to do really well this cycle here. All right, miners, on the other hand, they're going to do probably even better if history repeats itself. But miners didn't do too well today. They weren't too bad either. Bitfarms was down 6%, was 7. Cypher was down 3. Cleanspark was down about 7%, kind of close to where Bitfarms was. CORZ was down by 4.25. Hive was down almost 8. HUD 8 was down 6.6. IREN was down 5%. Mara was down 4%. Riot was down 6.3. Wolf was down 5.45. And the smaller miners were down as well. ETFs were down also. MicroStrategy was down a little bit here, Dave. It was just down 0.22% on it. So things are not that bad, right? Yes. Does it hurt when things go down? Absolutely. Is it much better when they go up? Absolutely as well. But we've weathered the storm here for the past basically 2 years from where we bottomed out in Bitcoin in December of 2022. And we've been doing much, much better from that time frame. Miners have been on a roller coaster ride. They, get extend a little bit, overheated, and then pull back down. We had the halving event as well. That also contributes to miners going down in value. And then we've also had the HPCI hype on some of these guys here. Some of them it's not hype, like CORZ, right? But some of them are hyping right now on that. And so we've seen some huge gains in those guys, which we wouldn't expect otherwise if it wasn't for the HPCI hype there. So I think the takeaway is be patient. I think we are still very early in this bull cycle. Especially if Bitcoin goes still to 180,000, 200,000, or 250,000, or something like that. We still have a lot of good green days ahead of us, I think. Okay, and then let's take a look at the network hash rate really quick as well. On the 30-day, it's up to 723 right now. That is continuing to increase here as well. So it's kind of going in with what I thought would happen. That we'd be closer to like 800 exahash to 900 exahash by the end of the year. So we might be in there by the end of the year. The 7-day, we're at 725 exahash. And then looking at the hash price has been kind of up and down here, but we're still above 57 right now. So that's still really good for the miners in general, which means that they're making a lot more money. And then we also have the Bitcoin transaction fees here. Excuse me. Those have been spiking up here quite a bit here, which is good because, again, miners are going to be making more at that point, right? This is looking at the last 3 months here. We are now No, this is looks like it's delayed here quite a bit. Let me see if I can refresh this. See how we're looking here. Now 3 months. Okay, here we go. So in November, we have been, in the beginning of November, we're kind of low, about 7 Bitcoin, 5, 6 Bitcoin, and then we've been jumping up here as we've had obviously more volatility in Bitcoin. That has been going up. So we had 13 Bitcoin here, we had 15, 20, 22, and 24 Bitcoin as well. So it is increasing, so that's a good sign for the miners as well. That should help them out, generate more revenue because of the transaction fees there, okay? So that's that. Then if we look at the monthly chart here for Bitcoin in November, we are still up 25%. That's still really good compared to what we could have had. So this is looking really good here as well. So, I mean, for me, it seems like all the signs are pointing to a nice bull run still happening in the next 6 to 9 months, maybe even longer. We'll keep an eye on it, see what happens there. Okay. Next here, let's take a quick look at institutions buying on the 1 and 6 months here. So I updated this chart here a little bit today just to make it a little bit cleaner and a little bit nicer to look at. But the data is still pretty much all the same. So the first one we're going to look at here is stock price change from 6 months ago. So where were the prices back then? Where are they now? How much are the miners up? And we can see here that TeraWolf is up nicely, 204%. Core up also nicely, 215. You got Hut 8 up being 157%. BitDeer 84, Hive 66, and then you got Cypher up 70% as well. And then some of the other miners, Marathon's only up 3% from there. Looks like IREN is up 39%. Bitfarms is actually down. Cleanspark is actually down as well. Riot's only up 18% from there. So that hasn't worked out too well for us. But if you look at the shares added from 6 months ago, so how many shares were added from 6 months ago to where they are now, we can see that we have huge increases in shares by TeraWolf. So institutions are buying a lot of that, along with CORZ Scientific, followed by Marathon, Iris, Cypher, Hut 8, and going down the list, you can see the rest here, right? So that kind of coincides with the gains that we're seeing here, both in TeraWolf and CORZ Scientific, where institutions are buying a lot. And then we have Marathon here. Surprisingly, institutions still are buying a lot, along with IREN, but the gains are not there. So either retail is selling out a little bit of these guys here, possibly. But then you also take a look at Hut 8 here, only 31 million shares being added by institutions, and yet the stock is up 157%. So that seems to be more driven by retail here than anything else. Okay, looking at the 1 month, since last month change here, we can see here that, again here, check this out. Hut 8 is up 79%, almost 80%, and only 630,000 shares were bought by institutions. So again, this leads me to believe that this is more driven by retail for Hut 8 than institutions. Whereas you can see here with CORZ Scientific, had 25 million shares being added by institutions and only being up 16%. So is it being driven by institutions or retail? Could retail be selling out a little bit here while institutions are buying? That could be the case as well. TeraWolf, similar situation, right? 14 million shares being added by institutions. Stock is up only 33% here. So that's kind of interesting to take a look there. Where else do we have some pretty good gains here? We had BitDeer up 28%, right? Institutional only 590,000. So could that be retail driven? Same thing for Hive. We could see that. Who else? Maybe Riot. Also, Cleanspark to a smaller extent as well. But it's always kind of nice to take a look at those, see how the institutions are acting and how the stock is acting as well. Down here, we have the percentage owned by institutions. CORZ Scientific has the most. 65% of its shares are owned by institutions currently. There is going to be some dilution happening there once the warrants get transferred over, I guess, on that one. Then you got Marathon with 59%. Hut 8 now with 58%. That is huge. So the only thing I think of for Hut 8 is the HPCI potential there. They had an investor, Co2, invest in them, $115 million, or give them a loan for HPCI. That's probably driving that one. Iris is up 54% owned by institutions, and then you got Riot at 48, Cleanspark at 46, TeraWolf at 49, Cypher only 31, Bitfarms at 24, BitDeer at 13 there currently, okay? Going down here, we're going to look at Analyst high price target changes. This is something new that I put in today. For this, I just wanted to see where everything is at on this. So we're looking at, again, from 6 months ago, how much did the analysts increase the high price targets for all these guys here? And CORZ Scientific has had the most increase here, $14.50 in increases from where they were just 6 months ago, followed by Hut 8, $8, right? IREN, $7.50. Then you would have TeraWolf, $5.80, and who else would be there? Kind of high. Cypher, $3.50. We had Bitfarms being down actually $1, so they decreased their targets for them. Riot was up $2. Cleanspark was flat here. BitDeer down $3 on that one from institutions or analysts, and Hive was actually up a little bit here, $2.43. Now, if we look at the same thing just from 1 month ago, we can see that CORZ Scientific again gained $3 increase. Excuse me. Cypher $2, Riot $2. Everybody else was pretty much flat on that, so no increases on that. And then this final little chart here shows how many institutions are in each miner. As last I checked, which was probably this week and last week, I checked on this data here. We can see Marathon has the most, 507 institutions in them. Riot 438, followed by Cleanspark 388, TerraWolf 290. And then we got CORZ Scientific 285, Cypher 242, Hut 8 238, Bitfarms 205, Iris 191, Hive 132, and BitDeer only 91. Okay, so that was something interesting to take a look at there on those charts. Always like looking at those at least once a month just to see how things are progressing with institutions and analyst ratings, see where their heads are at and what are they doing in this space. All right, then we're going to take a quick gander here and look at the hash rate and Bitcoin production and year over year, things like that on hash rate and Bitcoin. So we'll go over hash rate here, year to date hash rate. Cleanspark has installed the most, 21 exahash, followed by Riot, 17 exahash, Marathon, 15 exahash, Iris, 14 exahash. These guys have been growing like crazy here. Bitfarms 5 exahash, and then you got Cypher with 2.8, almost 2.9, BitDeer 2, Hive 1.8, Core only approximately 1.1 exahash, TerraWolf 1 exahash, and then Hut is actually down 1.5 exahash. They turned off some of their older miners there. Okay, BTC mined in the last 12 months. Marathon's still the king here, 9,124, followed by Core at 8,120 Bitcoin, Cleanspark 7,120, and then you got Riot at 4,908, almost 5,000 there, and you got a lot of them like in the 3,000 range here. You got BitDeer, Bitfarms, Cypher, Iris as well, TerraWolf, and you got a couple at the 2,000 mark. You got Hut and Hive as well in there towards the bottom end of things. Okay, when we look at the 12-month hash rate difference on the miners, we can see here that Mara and Cleanspark are pretty close to each other, about 21 exahash being installed here. Those guys are battling it out right now to become the top dog basically in this mining space. It seems like Riot installed 17 exahash, Iris 15 exahash or IREN. And you got the smaller miners a little bit here. You got TerraWolf with 3 exahash, Hut 8, 3, Core with almost 4.7 here. Bitfarms 5.2, almost 5.3. And you got BitDeer 1.5 exahash, Cypher 2.9 almost, and then Hive 1.7 as well. So that's how that has shaken up. And then year over year BTC mine difference. Here we only have 3 companies that have actually increased their Bitcoin mine from the last year. So last year October compared to this year in October, Cleanspark was up 22, IREN was up 63, Riot was up 47. Everybody else is down on production here of Bitcoin here. So right, TerraWolf is down 164, Marathon's down 528, Core is down 541, Cypher's down 260, Bitfarms down 162, BitDeer down 288 in production. So these guys are really knocking it out of the ballpark here as far as getting hash rate growth installed and things like that. Riot wasn't operating that great last year. They had issues with miners and things like that, I guess. So that's possibly a result of why. Had they been operating at a much higher efficiency and much higher uptime, could they have beaten or increased it from last year? That I don't know. I would say probably not, based on that thing. And then if we look at from the bottom of 2022 hash rate growth multiplier, so basically we're looking at December 2020, I think it was December 2022 where the miners bottomed out. How much do we have increase in hash rate there? This is a multiple. IREN came in number 1 with 12x, basically growth here, followed by BitDeer 6.2. Cleanspark, BitDeer I think is because they just went public in, 2023 I think? If I'm not mistaken, right? That's the reason why for that one. Cleanspark was up 4.7x on hash rate growth, Mara 5.5, TerraWolf 5.6, and you got everybody else down below here. Okay, so I'd just like to look at some of these kind of stats, metrics, whatever you want to call them, on how the miners are progressing here over certain periods of time. It just kind of lets me see where things are progressing as well with the miners in general at that point. All right, lastly, let's get into here Hut 8 here. So Hut 8 actually provided a pretty good update here for their Q3 results. They were actually positive on the EPS and even positive on, well, they should have been positive on the EBITDA, and nonetheless, if they were positive on the EPS. But here's what we had here. So for the third quarter, they recorded revenue of 43.7 million, net income of 0.9 million, and adjusted EBITDA of 5.6. Energy cost per megawatt was 28.83, so I think that comes out to be like 0.28 cents. A 33% decrease from 44.2 cents basically in the prior year period, mined 234 Bitcoin at a weighted average revenue per Bitcoin mined of 61,000 compared to a cost of 31,482. And then 9,106 Bitcoin held in reserve with a market value of 576 million and total cash of 72.9 million as of September. You guys can read all that stuff there. Let's get into my spreadsheet here. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it as well. They did increase shares a little bit here, not much, which was really good. And that's why they've been selling Bitcoin here. And you can see that here. They've been pretty flat here since January. They're selling majority of their Bitcoin that they do mine to fund operations and basically growth there as well a little bit. But shares right now is now 93,581,000. Market cap is about 2.165 billion. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been actually really good. 58% from 12 weeks ago, 75% from 8 weeks ago, 35% from 4 weeks ago, and last week they were up 22%. So the stock has been doing really well. Okay, current hash rate 5.6, future hash rate about 9.3 here. So they do have some growth happening there. They're going to be changing out a bunch of their old miners with the purchase of the newer miners that they're supposed to be getting there from, I think that was from Bitmain. I believe that was the case. So that's looking good there. And then let's take a look at the quarterly results here for them. Last 4 quarters, this is that has been coming down, which isn't good. This is for Bitcoin mining only, basically. It doesn't include their managed services or anything like that. But that's been coming down here. Current quarter, I'm estimating about 17.3. Last 4 quarters, or last 3 quarters, I guess would be. Operating costs have been coming down as well, so that's good there. Cost of minimum Bitcoin, 31,000 here. They said 31,400 something, so we're pretty close to that. But that is definitely an increase there. Bitcoin mined quarterly, way down from where they were before. That's because they're using older machines, not as efficient, things like that. Debt to equity, 0.54. So that's good there. Current ratio, down under 1. I like to see that at least above 1, but it's still not that bad. Total current assets as well. They got 110 million right now. And their Bitcoin is in, like, not the current asset, but in long-term assets, I guess, in that field, because otherwise they would have 500, probably like 600 some odd million there. Total current liabilities, 110 million. That's why we're seeing that there. So that's why I say this is not really a concern there for me. Let's go down here to the actual numbers. We'll get into some of these in a second here. Like we talked about, current assets, right? Down to 110 million from 195 million. Big change here was cash and cash equivalents. I'm guessing that is being used to fund the growth at a couple of other sites there. That's where I think that's being used. Total non-current assets went up to 988 from 891. And that big change in there was, let me see here. Property and plant equipment went up about 45 for almost 15 million or something like that. That's a big increase there. And what else has increased? Deposit and prepaid expenses also went up. So did operating lease rights. And that is about it on that one. Liability and stockholder equity did go down a little bit here to 110 from 116. Not a big difference there. Total liabilities, 386 million from 418. So that is a nice decrease there as well. And then total liabilities and stockholder equity is now 1.099 billion compared to 1.086 billion. Okay, the revenues. Here's the part that gets interesting and it's looking really good for them. So revenue self-mining was down. Okay, that was down, right? 11.61 million from 13.9. But here, managed services from 9 million to 20 million. That is a really good increase here. High performance computing also went up a little bit here to 3.4 from 3.6. Other went down a little bit here from 8.9 to 7.8. And I believe that they are using the other and the self-mining combined for the 19.49 million for the self-mining, basically. Because there's really no, I'll show you guys in up top here. I might as well do that now because I'll forget. But they reported 19.49 million in revenue for Bitcoin mining here. And, well, they reported two subsets of it, right? The self-mining and the other. And when I ran the numbers here for their Bitcoin mined, I only came up at 16.9. So that's the only way I could do it. And it's the same way that I did it over here, which I was pretty close on it. But I think in September, I'm not sure if they were selling daily. I think they might have held off or the third quarter. They were maybe holding off until Bitcoin was going up a little bit and selling at that point. And that generated them more revenue because of it. Because historically, I've been pretty close. I'm way off on it now. So the only thing I can think of is they weren't selling daily, which wouldn't work with my average numbers for Bitcoin on the month. And if they sold it at higher points, well, then I would say, yeah, they could generate more revenue from that as well. So if they did that, that's great because they actually generated more revenue because of it. Okay, going back down here. So that was looking really good there. Cost of digital assets revenue here was 7.2. Oh, and also total revenue came in 43.73. So that is a nice increase from the Q2 numbers that they had there. Cost of revenue for managed services was only 2.8, and yet they brought in 20 million from that. That's a nice profit margin there. So that's looking really good. Cost of revenue HPC colocation cloud was 2.6. They generated 3.4. Not the best profit margin there, but still profitable, so that's good there. And the cost of other revenue was 4.8. Still okay there, I guess. Right, so self-mining percent of revenue was 26%. Managed services percent of revenue was 47%. High performance computing was only 7.8, and other was 18%. And then self-mining gross profit margin came to be 37%. Managed services, 84%, right? Really good. High performance computing was only 23%, and other was 38%. So that's the way that worked out. Depreciation and amortization was 10.4. Selling general was 16, so that's down from the 17, and it's been trending downward, so that's good to see there. Let's see here. What else? Total operating expense was 27 million. Other income loss was negative 1.56 million. And then we had some finance expense was negative 7.9. Unrealized gains, things like that. Total other income was 2.9. Net income before taxes was 1.3 million. Take out income tax benefits and things like that. You're looking at 908,000 in profit there, and that's kind of what they're going by. Then you had net loss attributable to non-controlling interest was negative 261,000, brought them down to 647,000, giving them 1 penny of EPS on the quarter. So that's looking a lot better than what they had here in Q2, negative 78. So I think that maybe that's why the stock was pumping here recently on this news, because that was a good quarter. They're up positive, so that's good. And then we had, let me see here, stock-based compensation had them at about 4.9 for the quarter. I don't have anything for Q2 for them. I could have just missed it. I didn't write it down here. In Q1, it was 4.4, so that's still not too bad. Okay, going up here, we can see that, where is it at? Okay, we are here. Custom and Bitcoin, like I said, was about 31,000, right? That works out. Debt to equity, talked about that as well. Book value of equity, 602 million. Price to book ratio, 3.59. EBITDA was, I have them at 9 million. They had said about 6 million here. So I might be off on something there. Revenue, 43 million. General administrative, 16%, or 16,000, or sorry, 16 million. That came out to be 36%, almost 37% of their costs, or their general administrative was 36% of their revenue, basically. So that's still pretty high. I'd like to definitely see that much lower, but it's better than what it was in Q2, where it was 50%. So things are improving there. So that's looking much better. All right. Going up here, I added some of their managed hosting revenue here into this one, which looks at the October revenue from Bitcoin mining plus the 3 months average of managed hosting or managed services, multiplying times 12 months. And I get them to be about 148 million in revenue roughly. And I have them between 794 and 1191 at that point. So they're at 23.14. I'm using a P of 10. Even I would have to use like a P of 15 or 17, I think, in order for that to work out. Let's see, 17, 18, 19, 20. P of 20. Okay, I have to use a P of 20 in order for that to work out. The reason I have them at 10 is there's not a lot of growth in Bitcoin mining side of things. And I think they're catching the bid on this stock for the HPCI potential there, or hype, whatever you want to call it. Because if you look at the last 4 quarters or 3 quarters that we do have numbers on them, yeah, it's not I wouldn't use this data up here because this is old data. We only have 3 quarters on it. I'd like to use more quarters of it if possible. Let me see if I'm using the latest quarters on this one as well. Yeah, I am. So I'm using the latest data on those, the actual numbers. Current quarter is an estimate number. We're looking at possibly 17 million or something like that in revenue for them. Okay. What can I say about Hut 8? Don't like the fact that they're using older machines still, that they're waiting this long to change them out, and also don't like that. But I do like the fact that they are at least doing the upgrade on the machine. So that's good there. Still waiting to see what they come up with HPCI deals there. Same with like TeraWolf and Cypher and IREN, anybody else that's in the space. We've had a lot of hype around that, a lot of talk about that as well. And we just need to see something actually develop out of these guys. And we'll see who's the first one that actually gets a good deal there. right? I think right now the deal that Core has with CoreWeave is the gold standard. Can you get something like that, what they're getting, or something comparable to that, at least? I think that would definitely warrant, with the stocks them being up as high as it is, especially for Hut 8 and TeraWolf as well. But yeah, they're doing, I think, the right things, getting costs down. They're, having a profitable quarter. That's great. So congrats to Asher Ganut there. He's done the right things, I think. I still would love to see them grow more of their hash rate here going forward, but they're being diversified, and it actually might work out for them. All right, so that's it on Hut 8. Let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things here. You guys know the spreadsheets are available to my Patreon members. Link for that is down in the description. We'll leave it at that. Let's get to Q&A side of things, see what you guys have to say. And as always, if you guys could provide Q or question in front of the question, we'll get to it. And it might take me a while to get through all your questions, so be patient there. I will get to them eventually, unless we're going on for about an hour and a half, at which point I will cut it short because I need to get some sleep as well. Okay, let's see what we got here on the Q&A side of things. Where am I? Okay, I'm there. Wow. Okay, let me take a sip of my drink here. Okay. So let me go up top here, see if we got anything. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to start right around here. Okay. Let's start here. Question. What was the PE ratio for these miners on average during the bull run? How does that compare to current? The current is lower than in the bull run. The bull run at that peak, some of the guys were up at like 40, 50 PE, if not even higher. On average, they were around 30, 35, somewhere around there, but some were definitely higher. Like Marathon was way up there at that point. So my PE numbers are definitely more conservative right now. I think I will have to increase those as the bull run continues on going forward. All right. Hi, Seb. Why IREN, Cleanspark, Riot down while companies like Hut 8 went from $8 to $26.27? Okay. For Hut 8, it was the investment by Co2, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that was a loan that they gave them with really good terms for HPC AI. So you got Co2, which is also invested in other companies. It's pretty good name or well known in the industry for investments. I think that helped the stock and also provide maybe some credence to the HPCI hype there. That's why it's went on a run along with TeraWolf. If you look at TeraWolf, TeraWolf's been on a run ever since you heard of them getting into HPCI potentially, and Duncan Miller investing in them. Somebody else also, I think Cohen invested in them as well. So you got high-profile people that are investing in these companies. That's pushing, retail investors to get into it as well, because they just hear the name, who's investing in them, and that's pumping the stock up. So both companies, I think, really need to provide a really good customer there, or a hyperscaler, or somebody that's going to have a significant revenue generation for them going forward, because if they don't, the stock is probably going to tumble from here if they don't provide something like that. Let's see. All right, let's see. Saw X discussion today around IREN diluting the most 72% since September 1st, based on Invest Answers data with 189 million shares. Does that 70-80 target change? Well, let's see. How many shares do I have for them right now? IREN, I have them at 187 million, and this was as of last quarter. Take a look at this here. So I don't know why they're getting 72%. Is it from the beginning of the year, from year to date? Year over year, what are they talking about there as far as increase? Because I'm at 187 right now, and that was based on Q2 results for them, which is, the fiscal year, which ended, but that was their Q4. They were at 187. So, are they saying from maybe from December? Yeah, they've definitely increased a lot here in hash rate, but so I'm still basing it off that number where I still think they could get to $70, $80, something like that. Bitcoin gets to past 150, 180, 200,000, north of that, I think they can get there. Because at that point, them and everybody else is going to be so much more profitable in their Bitcoin mining that it should reward them on that. If we have the historical thing happen like we did last time. So let's go back here. All right, let's see. All right, Let's see. Jaco says Hut hasn't diluted their shareholders to death like most of the miners have. Actually, they did. Before they merged with USBTC, they had a large number of shares. Then they did like a reverse split, basically, to combine the companies. That's why they have lower shares right now. Okay, let's see. Seb hearing we might drop to 78K based on miners price. I don't think so. I wouldn't say. I mean, you can never rule anything out of Bitcoin, but 78 down to 78. Like, let's see where that's going to bring us down as far as percentage drop from Bitcoin from the top. So if we peaked here to 78, we are looking at 16%. Okay, historically that has happened where Bitcoin has gone down 10, 20%. So that could possibly happen here just as well. So I'm not going to rule that out. That could be a possibility, but I mean, with all the good news that we have here, I don't know. That's a little tough here. If we look at the prior cycle here, this is where we at. That's 72,000 around the daily chart. Let's go back to the prior cycle where we reached 69,000 and see what kind of pullbacks we had at that point. All right, there's the 69,000 here. We had a pullback here from about 52,000 down to approximately here. We had a 20% drop. Okay, so we did go down to 42%. That was basically in a day. So we did have that drop there. We finally bottomed out here at approximately 25%. So we did have those drops happening here after a nice run here, but we're only like at this part right here of the run. If you look at the chart here, right, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've had 10 days in a run here. This was back in 2021. This week we've had 7 days. We had 1 day in the red, 1 day in the green so far, but we had a huge run up here. This was, how much of a run up was this? From here to here, that was 43%, right? And then we went down a little bit here. It seems like we're still in this part of the run where we're coming down here and then we're going to go back up and eventually we will correct the 10, 15, 20%, maybe 25%, whatever it might be. But right now, I just think, I don't know. I know we've had a huge increase here recently, but I still think like there's more room to run up before we go down. And I think we are like up 40% right now from here to here. So we might also do that. If you go back to the bottom here, okay, maybe we are due for a pullback, right? We went up here, came down, we went up, came down, went up. Yeah, I think a pullback is healthy nonetheless, depending where we end up at. But we'll get those regardless, whether or not we like it or not. Those will happen every once in a while. Okay. Hi, Seb. Historically, which quarter months miners go parabolic? Last cycle they started going right around this time, right around November 20th into December, and then throughout the rest of the 3 quarters, basically in 2025. Okay. See, would you sell your Coinbase for Cleanspark at these levels? Depending when you got into Coinbase, how high are you, how profitable are you with it, right? Coinbase I don't track, so I don't really know what it does historically around this. I know historically that it does really well in the Bitcoin bull cycle. Does it do better than Cleanspark or better than the miners? I don't know. So that's a tough one. Okay. Seb, you estimate current fair prices based on 75 and 50% profitability, but that varies significantly across the miners. Should you use different profitability based on the actual margin trend per miner? I probably could, right? We have the data there. I could probably take a look at it, what the margins are like on it. But 75% is typically like towards the higher end once we get into a bull run for these guys. It's kind of worked out so far as far as being close to where the miners actually are kind of bouncing in between, going up to, going back down before. I'll have to think about it. But you make up a good point there. Okay. Can you advise price of Bitfarms when a BTC will be 150K and Bitfarms at least 15 exahash? I think at that point, 150,000, depending when they get to 15 exahash too. Do they get to that? Well, okay. Let's just say they get to that in the next 3 months because at 150,000, whatever it is, or 4 months. Then I would think that they would be around $10, if not more. But, sometimes what I think doesn't always happen. So, Okay, let's see here. Christian says, yeah, still can't ever see your chart, Seb. Just wish you eventually made your fonts a little bigger with when templates allow. Let's take a look at it. Let me take a look at it. I mean, I use 1920 by 1080, so 1080p on my screen here. And let me think about that, see what I can do about that. I'm looking at it now here. Let's see, institutions. Some of the stuff is a little small. I will grant that to you here. But if you're watching it on a TV or even on a monitor, on like a desktop monitor or a laptop, you should be able to see pretty good. But I give you that if you're watching on a smartphone, that's probably not the best or ideal situation there. So I'll give you that. And the ideal would be to watch it on a, at least a tablet or a desktop or a PC or something like that. I think that would be ideal there if you could do that. All right. Let's see. Riot HPC deal coming through. Says who? Okay. Roger says Galaxy will beat out CORZ soon. I know Galaxy is pivoting to that. I don't know. I mean, Galaxy does have a lot of contacts. You never know. Somebody going to say no. HUD looks good from the perspective of little share dilution and low stock-based compensation. Yeah, that. The only question mark there is what kind of HPC AI customer will they get there, and how much of the revenue is it going to bring into them. Right. Let's see. Let's see. Do you believe that Cleanspark will blow this cycle's all-time high of 24? Oh yeah, absolutely. Unless we reach the high of 93,000, whatever it is, and that's it. And at that point, no. But if we continue to go up, which a lot of people are saying we're going to continue to go up because of all the adoption and everything else, then yes. Okay. Let's see. A question, not a question, but some info. Anthony Pompliano is also promoting HUD 8. That's why it's pumping. Yeah, we also saw Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, talking about it, CNBC or something like that. So looks like they got a couple people pumping it for them as well. Okay. Question: would it be possible to compare the virtues of choosing MicroStrategy over miners? I'll give you this. I think MicroStrategy is maybe a safer bet. It does sometimes overheat the price increase that we saw in the stock. It does go back to kind of the average, the mean. And then the miners don't do typically very well before the halving event and after the halving event typically. Until Bitcoin starts going into a parabolic rise, that's where you see a lot of your gains in the miners. So that's, and they do, historically, they have outperformed MicroStrategy. Will that happen this year again? I think it will. Time will tell, right? All right. Let's see. What do you think of Cleanspark price by end of year? How do you get that number? Depending where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin goes to 100,000, 110,000, I would think they would be closer to like $20, $25 at that point because the profitability is going to be so much more. They're also growing their hash rate to about, what are they supposed to get to this year? 37, 38 exahash by the end of the year. And that's kind of what I'm basing that on. Let's see here. Hi, so MicroStrategy is 550% as compared to miners, which are around 100% year to date. Can we expect 4 to 5x with IREN and Cleanspark? I think so, yeah. But yes, MicroStrategy is 550%. There are other miners that are up, possibly even more than that, I think. Let me see here. Take a look at it. You got TeraWolf that's up 700% from the bottom of this year. You got Core up also 549%. Yeah. So I do think some of the other guys here like Cleanspark, IREN, that are only up 283, 261 so far for this from the 52 weeks, right? I mean, look at Cleanspark. Cleanspark's still 45% away. If you look at the other part of it, which is the enterprise value on this to compare all these guys, I mean, you can see it here quite. Let me pull this one back in here. For future hash rate growth, Cleanspark's still way undervalued, 49 million compared to, HUD 8, 181 million, Core 210 million, TeraWolf 267 million. Yes, the hype around TeraWolf is HPCI. That's why they're valued the way they are. They're not being valued for their Bitcoin mining for sure. And then Core is also being valued on their HPCI that they're going to be getting next year as well. So I understand those, right? So, but like HUD 8, that's questionable to me. BitDeer, same thing, 183 million compared to some of these guys that are much higher hash rate right now, much better performers and uptime and everything else. but they're just not getting valued on it. So I think they've been just beaten down here, and I think eventually they will flip some of these other guys here. But that's at least my thought process. But we'll see if that actually pans out that way. Okay, go back here to Q&A. Okay, covered that already. Okay, yeah, so the Hot 8 Code 2 loan was convertible loan, $450 million convertible at $16 USD, and mandatory conversion at 20-30 day average above 25 USD-ish. Okay, and thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. All right, question, what assumptions are you making that the miners will follow the same multiple as the last bull run? I'm seeing the same kind of price action happening here after the halving event, right? Miners dropped, which is kind of what I would expect. The only difference now is that we have HPC hype, which we didn't have last time. We only got the HPC hype, excuse me, in the last probably 6 months, I want to say. When Core came out with this huge deal that they got from Core Scientific, that really sparked everything. But before that, we didn't have it. But otherwise, I'm seeing the same things happening with the miners. The only difference we had this time around was the miners were actually going up into the halving event, which last time they were going down. But the reason they were going up is because we had the spot Bitcoin ETFs. That actually drove also Bitcoin price up, which wasn't the case before. So, but otherwise, I'm seeing the same kind of things happening here with them that I saw last time. All right. Miners that we see undervalued are not getting love from investors, so maybe market thinks their low price is justified and our market analysis is wrong. That could very well be the case. But we talked about this yesterday. I showed you guys charts of where the miners were after the halving event in 2020 cycle, right? And then where they actually went from like November of that year, 2020, to where they went in April, May of 2021. Huge gains there. Then Marathon had even more gains, but that's where we're expecting to see a lot of the gains at that point. Okay. Positive, thank you so much. Yeah, if you guys enjoy it, hit the like button. Definitely doesn't hurt. All right, let's see. Hi, Seb. Analyst target for IREN Cleanspark Riot around 1718. That is not even 2x confused. Can you please explain about 3 to 4x logic? Okay, so the logic on the 3 to 4x is historically, Marathon did basically last cycle. They were up 70x. From the bottom to the top, where they topped out with 70x, Riot was up 30-some x, right? Some others were up 17x or 17x, yeah. Hive was up like 17x. Bitfarms was up also around there. So on average, you should at least see that happen from depending, like after the halving event, you should get at least somewhere around a 4 to 5x on top of Bitcoin, what Bitcoin does. That's the theory there. Okay, so that's kind of what we're using there. That's the logic for it. Some of the miners are already up 2x on where Bitcoin is. We should see more as Bitcoin price goes up because they do become a lot more profitable at that point. And you'll see that happening here in Q4. Bitcoin goes up to 100,000 or something like that, finishes up. You're going to see a lot of the miners being way, way, way more profitable than they were. All right. Let's see here. Super Diagnostic says, question, hoping for mid-70s to load up. How about you? If we go back down, I will pull some more on the cash there and buy some more miners. Yeah, if we get it. That's the best thing you can do, possibly. Okay. Now, what is the short interest on the miners? Do you see a short squeeze? I don't have the data yet. I got to pull the data in. I will probably pull the data in over the weekend, and we'll talk about it on either Sunday show or on the Monday show. We'll talk about it then. Let's see. Let's see. Can miners still 5x from here if Bitcoin gets to 150,000? Some will, some won't. Right. At that point, I would only expect for miners from here to do like maybe, I mean, it's not even 2x on Bitcoin itself. So I would say at least 2x from here to 2 to 3x minimum. And then if we get anything more above that, then that's all gravy. Okay. Let's see, talked about that. Okay. Did you hear Trump might eliminate capital gains tax for crypto companies with U.S. based? This would be massive, and I think instead of investing in miners, could just buy BTC to avoid the tax. Possibly. All right. How much does Digital make with ETH staking. I'm trying to figure out what percentage of this is their revenue profit. I mean, ETH staking is what? A couple percentage points, 2, 3, 4% yields or something like that on it. It's not that much. But they have, what, 19,000, 20,000 ETH or something like that. So, I mean, you can probably figure that out. What is driving the miner stock price down? One, they had a huge run on Monday. If you look at some of these guys, they should be still in the green, I think, for the week. Let's take a look at it. I think Cleanspark had a huge run up here. Did that retrace back? Okay, that kind of filled the gap here. So what is this? Thursday, we had Friday. No, Monday. They weren't trading on Friday. So they were out, but we retraced this gap that we saw on the miners on Monday, or at least for Cleanspark here. Who else had a nice run up here? Marathon had a huge run up on Monday as well, right? We saw that. There's a gap there, so it looks like they're trying to fill those gaps. Not some of these guys here. We also have a gap down here, but it seems like that's what's happening here. So where Marathon started and ended, it is still up on the week, approximately 6% here. Riot also, let me see, take a look at that one. That one definitely, let's see, this is Monday, Friday. Monday, it was up. That one actually filled the gap and it's even lower than that. So Riot's going to be probably down on the week. Tomorrow, unless things improve here, we got Wolf. Started out, let's see, this is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday. I mean, Wolf is definitely down from where it was. And that one. Who else do we have? Hut 8 had a good week here. Let's see, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. You can see the huge increase that it had Monday. So that one's going to be in the positive for the week. It's just we were up huge. On the miners, we also had possibly the big players manipulating the crap out of us yesterday to bring the stocks down so they could sell their short positions possibly. So they don't get screwed on the deal, right? And we're kind of at their mercy a little bit, I think. Okay. Let's see here. Hello, Seb. Thank you. First of all, thank you for all the information. Overall thoughts on CORZ moving forward. I think CORZ is going to continue to do well going forward. A lot of their revenue is going to be coming in sometime in like late Q2, right? Or somewhere, yeah, in Q2, somewhere around there. That's when they should start getting revenue from CoreWeave deal. So that's going to be a lot of revenue there as well, as long as they can get everything installed. The faster they get things installed, the faster they're going to be generating. But for the next 12 years, I mean, you know what they're getting. There's huge revenue there. Plus, if they can upgrade some of their fleet with Bitcoin mining from the block miners, that should also be a good thing for the stock, especially Bitcoin goes into a bull rally. So they have a lot of things going for them. I think the stock will do very well. I just don't know exactly how well it will do. I still think it might get to like $30 or something like that, if not higher at that point. All right, let's see. Hello, Seb. Thanks for all the info. You're very welcome. Do you plan to sell any miner recently? No, I bought miners. When did I buy them? Yesterday? The day before? When did I buy them? Yesterday. I think I bought them yesterday. Yesterday, I did. Yeah, so I bought IREN, Cleanspark, and Bitfarms yesterday on the dip. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Seb. Cleanspark closed the gap created from the halt. There is a second gap at around 1080 that could close tomorrow. Hold onto your hats if that happens. Yeah, I just saw that too. But there's other companies that also have gaps. We'll see. Maybe they get filled, right? Big boys will be happy, then we go up higher. We're still, early in here, so. All right. Let's see here. Bitcoin's down 3,000 after Powell spoke today. I did not hear what he had to say, so I missed that one. Okay. All right. Okay. Hi, Seb. Anywhere TP check it, sell, or if happening, or you can just feel the volatility because being quick is important sometimes. TP, what's TP? I'm not sure what TP is. Sorry. Let's see. Sour says, Seb, we're going to need to be able to hold these big green days if we ever want to get to price targets we have. If we keep having these aggressive sell-offs right after, we'll never get close. I agree with you, and that's going to happen. You just got to be patient. I still believe we still have like 6 to 9 months to go before everything settles down and we maybe get to the top. But I also don't like all this price action that we are seeing on the weekends on Bitcoin. I would rather have Bitcoin be flat on the weekends, right? And then move during the week. So that way you don't have any of these gaps happening here. Okay. All right. Do you like this SATO ETF? It holds miners and other crypto-related companies. I don't know about them. I know about BitQ is one. WGMI is another one, and a couple other ones that are in there. I have those, so I know that those are good. Okay. What exahash do you expect Cleanspark to grow in 2025? Why? Oh gosh, they haven't provided any guidance, and they're gonna be pretty much filled up. I know that they have megawatts that they can still increase at their sites, but it's not much. They do have some miners that they could also replace at that point. I know they're trying to get to 50 exahash at least, right? Beyond that, I could see them getting to maybe 75, 80 exahash next year. They've always, historically, have done really well when it comes to growth. So I think they can still surprise us next year as well. Let's see here. What's says, Gensler rumored to retire in 24 hours. Will that affect BTC price action? Oh, I think that would be a boost. I think if people, see that Gensler retiring, because he has not been definitely a friend of Bitcoin or the space in general, I think that would be a good thing. Can you explain Bitfarms synthetic hodling and how much profit they're got or going to get? That is synthetic hodl and that stuff, options and all this stuff. That's above my head. Hopefully somebody here in the chat can fill you in on that has a little bit more experience than I do, because I do not. Okay, let's see. If Trump cuts energy prices, how would that impact miners? How is he going to cut energy prices? The only way he can cut energy prices is if we produce more, right? So we would need more nuclear power plants, more natural gas power plants, more oil, all that stuff. That's the only way it's going to get cut. You're not going to cut it just by going, I'm cutting, maybe cuts the taxes on it, but a lot of that stuff is also taxed on the local municipalities. Okay, let's see. Where do you see Bitcoin going for the Friday and the weekend? I'm expecting a pullback to around 82 and expecting the miners to have a final flush tomorrow and early next week. Yeah, I don't know. So let's take a look at it, see if we can see anything on the RSI. That's what I usually go by, see where the RSI is at on these things. I know that the RSI here on Bitcoin was definitely a little bit overheated here on the 1 day. Let's take a look at the daily or the weekly. Weekly is also getting pretty closer, but the weekly can still run up even more, right? We were pretty high here in March when Bitcoin reached 73,000 here, and it's come back down, and we could possibly still run a little bit more on that one. Let's take a look at the 4-hour chart here. 4-hour chart has also been coming down here. Where's it at now? 51. Last time we were at 51 was back here. We were lower, so we're still higher in price, so that's looking good. 1 hour is at 38. Last time we were this low, going back, let's see, we're 38 here. We were a little bit higher there, so it seems like on the shorter time frames, it is going downwards. But if you look at the longer time frame, last time we were at around 38, was back here. Price was lower at that point. 15 minutes, what do we got? 15 minutes definitely looks a little bit worse on that one. Let's see, RSI is at 35. Last time we were back here, price was actually lower here, so we might have a reversal happening here, maybe. On that one, but if we go further back on it, price was higher at that point. So if I'm seeing price going down and the RSI is the same thing, I usually think that we might be going down until I see a reversal happening at that point. Okay, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm not too worried about it, right? If you're trading these things and you're trying to trade them, okay, that gets a little bit tougher. But if you're just in them and you're buying the dips and, whenever you get a red day and holding them for a little bit longer, I think you'll do very well. But yeah, if you're day trading, it's definitely going to be a lot harder. And people love that kind of stuff, kind of volatility, right? Because they can buy low, sell high, repeat. But that's just not me. All right. If Bitcoin will do 2x, the miners will do 2 to 3x. Why not just get into my strategy? We'll do 4x or buy it by BTC itself for 2x. But it's 2x on top of the 2x. So you're looking at if the Bitcoin is 2x, we're saying then that the miners would do like a 4x, 4 to 6x basically. That's kind of what we're looking. That's when I say on top of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin goes 2x. I would expect the miners to do 2x on top of that. Hi, Seb, are you starting to lose your confidence about the miners' performance? Nope, not yet. Nope. if we get to a Bitcoin being 150,000 or something like that, and the miners are still where they're at or up only a couple of dollars, then maybe I'll get a little bit more concerned. But right now, no. What else do we have here? Okay, covered that one already. Let's see. Where do you think the price of Bitfarms is going? If Bitcoin goes up, I think it'll go up. If Bitcoin goes down, it will go down definitely. What else? Okay. See, what alcohol drink do you prefer when going live? That's basically just alcohol and cranberry juice and water. That's like 20% alcohol, 40% of cranberry juice and 40% of water. Okay. So what's your all-in Bitcoin cost to mine for Cleanspark, including DNA, direct cost to mine, stock-based compensation, etc.? I have it at 73,000. I need to see the results for their Q4, our Q3, which is going to be released, I'm hoping, by the end of this month here, if not early December, to really see what's going on there. Based on what we had in Q2, I had them at, let me see, where's the break-even cost for Cleanspark at that point was only 48,000. That was including electricity, SG&A. Let me pull this up for you guys. This is what I had it back then in Q2. So I need to update this once I get all the Q3 results for these guys, and we'll see where they come in at. But 73 seems a little high to me, unless you're also including like stock-based compensation in there, depreciation. Okay, then maybe at that point that would be around 73 maybe. Okay. Okay. Sam Food says, hi, silly question. What is 3x of stock, which has got current value of 8, current value plus 24? I'm not sure I get that. Sorry. Okay. And if Trump does increase energy supply, then how would that affect electricity costs? Could that make a material difference for Cleanspark? Well, we make a material Cleanspark for all these guys if energy costs go down. But the energy costs that they're paying right now are still not that bad. They're only somewhere between, some of them are like 3 cents to 4.5 cents. Some are a little higher as well. But they're not, they're not paying that much as it is right now. It would definitely help if it goes down, for sure, especially as you're going in a bull run. But, Cleanspark gets most of their electricity from nuclear. So the only thing you can really lower that would be to lower taxes maybe on it. Maybe, but I don't even know how you could do that. Okay, here we go. Do you think do you think the digital is still a good hold now that they're moving away from mining? So BitDigital, okay. Might be, yeah. I mean, I know that they weren't really getting valued on their Bitcoin mining or their HPCI in the past, at least. They're catching a little bit of a bid right now, which is good. They're getting a little bit better valued since they bought the facility there in Canada for data center tier 3. Then they have expansion plans as well. So I think that's better for them. But I don't know about... Without the Bitcoin mining and having Bitcoin go up in a parabolic rise, I don't know how well they will rise with it. That's my only question there, really. Okay, let's see. I talked about that one already. Saw that. Catching up here. All right. Andre says, I agree. I think the fonts should be a bit bigger, and I'm watching on my 52-inch TV. Okay. I'll see what I can do. Right. I just want to have enough information where I can easily talk about it without having to scroll all the way down and scroll all the way up. It just makes it difficult. Maybe after this bull run, you can buy a 78 or 85-inch TV. If not, I'll buy one for you. Okay. Let's see. Which miner is the most undervalued? Cleanspark. Cleanspark is one of them. There's also IREN in there. There's Bitfarms in there. It just all depends. Where did it go? Enterprise value metrics. All right, here it is, as always. Bitfarms, Cleanspark, IREN, Hive, Riot. Also, I would say Marathon 2 to a certain degree. But those are the ones that are still way undervalued based on future hash rate growth and where they're being valued at right now. Okay. What else? Do you think Cleanspark outperforms more in terms of price performance? That I don't know. Marathon has a lot more HODL, like almost 3x of what Cleanspark has as HODL. That could be a huge advantage to them. So I don't know. That'll be tough. Okay. Hi Seb, your body language referring Bitfarms has changed. What are the odds you'll flip Bitfarms to Cleanspark and IREN? That's what I did yesterday, and my hair started to grow back today. Hint, hint, less stress. I was bald before I got into the miners anyway, so I don't think that's going to help me at all. I gotta wait to see what their report is like for November. See how much hash rate they got installed. What is the sentiment there in their press release? Just to really see what's going on there. And yeah, I may sell, all of it. I may hold on to all of it, or I may sell a portion of it and move it into the other miners as well. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right. Question, where's the next support for Bitfarms? On the sidelines again and thinking about getting back in. That, I don't know. I don't know where the next support is. Let's take a look at the chart here. Oh, where's it at? Bitfarms, right there. Not that one, that one. Right here. Bitfarms, this is on the 15-minute. Let's look at the daily chart. Here, it looks like it's at the support right now, at least at the 0.382 on the Fibonacci retracement. I mean, it's right there right now. That should be support for it. So that's at least what I see. Maybe you guys see something different, but that's kind of what I see right now. All right. What else? Okay. What are you expecting for Bitfarms operations and their plans going forward? Based on what Ben said, that they should have more steady growth happening each month going forward. We might get, like you said, 1 or 2 months where they have a spike. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. All right. So easy question. Looking at Cleanspark current price, what will be 3x price target? Well, 3x price target from here would be, where are they at? $15, whatever they're at. That'd be like $45, right? At that point. All right. All right. I think I cut up to all you guys' questions here. So we're going on an hour here already as it is. We're going to call it a day. Tomorrow, as always, you guys know the drill for the most part. At least I think you guys know the drill. Let me see, where am I at? I want to go here. We won't do a stream unless something major happens in the mining space. Because tomorrow's Friday. You guys are celebrating the end of the week. I'm just going to be celebrating the end of the week with my family as well. Spend some time, do some things with the kids and wife. And then we're off on Saturday as always, right, to relax, kind of decompress, I guess you could say. And then we'll be back at it on Sunday night as well to cover whatever happened this past week with the miners versus Bitcoin. And we'll maybe look at some other metrics and things like that as well. Okay. So that's it. Thank you so much for coming in. Greatly appreciate you guys. Love you for coming in here, having this chat with me and communicating back and forth and the comments and the questions and everything else. Greatly appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great Friday, a safe Friday, and a wonderful weekend and a safe weekend as well. Hope to see you guys here on Sunday. All right. Have a great one.